Okay. Hi, Sabrina.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm fine.
Good. I just want to welcome everyone who's going to be watching this interview today. This is my channel, HCGChica on YouTube, and you might be seeing it on my site, hCGChica.com. My name is Razel Lamb, and this is kind of an experiment. This is our first interview that I plan on doing in a series called Interviews with Everyday People. With those who are doing the HCG diet. So Sabrina here has so kindly offered to be my first victim. So you are currently still on your HCG diet journey, right?
I just began a round.
Okay,
Correct.
great. So you've done one round so far.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And
This is
so,
my second round.
okay, and how many pounds did you lose in your first HCG round?
Total, do you want the weight at LDW or my total weight?
Just approximately how much you've lost so far?
With the whole round, I went down, I think, 26 pounds.
Okay, that's great. And how many days were you on that round?
40.
40 days, okay. So 26 pounds in 40 days, which is awesome. That's actually about what I lost my first round too. So, and what kind of HCG were you using?
I was doing prescription, but I was doing nasal spray.
Okay, so a nasal spray. I actually haven't talked to too many people who've done that, so that's really neat. So prescription nasal spray. And what dose were you taking?
125 IU.
And that felt really good? You didn't feel hungry or?
I felt no hunger.
That's awesome. Now, as far as the protocol that you followed, did you eat the 500 or did you eat more?
On round one, for the first like two weeks or something, I stuck pop to Dr. Simeon's protocol.
So just the 500 calories.
The 500 calories, no coconut oil, none of that.
Gotcha.
And no mixing of vegetables. But then about the third week, I started like mixing my vegetables and kind of experimenting with Cocoa Delight and all that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, okay.
But I stuck to the 500 calories throughout, even with pop or not pop.
Okay, great. All right. And so one of the reasons I wanted to interview you is because you did some hydrostatic body fat testing, correct?
Yes.
Before and after. So this is something that not everybody has access to, but it's something that I'm really interested in because to me that's part of the way that this protocol is proved to work is showing how much fat loss occurs, right?
Correct.
So share with us what your results were.
Okay. Well, when I went in to have my first hydrostatic test, it was pre-loading, so it didn't include the 6 pounds or so of loading weight that I have. So my results were that I lost I think 17 pounds is what they measured, 17 pounds, and 15.85 was fat.
Wow.
And so only 1.115. So that was like 93%
fat.
pure fat.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so that's amazing. So basically, yeah, out of 17 pounds, almost 16 pounds was fat.
Yes.
So only just over 1 pound muscle loss, that's totally phenomenal. And honestly, when you're losing a lot of weight like that, your body is going to need a little less muscle anyway because we actually carry more muscle in order to carry around all that extra fat on our body. So yeah, so that's really, really good results. And you were eating 500 calories a day. So that's amazing. You had mentioned something to me about your, because you did this through a clinic, right?
Correct.
And did you mention something to me about the doctor thinking that the 500, something about that?
Well, what happened is the first time the clinic that I went through that I was getting the nasal spray from, they're located in the Midwest, and I'm on the West Coast. And so sometimes the nasal is already mixed. So we ran into some issues of them shipping shipments and it not getting there on time and, it not being refrigerated, basically.
Ah, I see.
So I decided that if I were going to do additional rounds, I was not going to go through them for that reason. I wanted a clinic closer.
Yeah.
So if I decided to do nasal spray, it would be local and it would get there quicker. Yeah. So the clinic that I'm with now, doing the protocol, which I'm doing the injections, they recommend a higher calorie intake than the 500. And when I asked them why, they said because you lose so much muscle if you went 500. So they didn't know that I had the previous experience I have. So I said, I'll just get my prescription HCG and stick to what I was doing.
What you know worked well. So
exactly.
Yeah, because you probably would not have lost as much weight if you'd done the higher calorie, right? And it's not necessary because you weren't hungry and you lost almost all fat.
Exactly. And they also recommended a higher IU than what I had done previously.
I see that. That's pretty common. For some reason, I don't know why that is, but a lot of weight loss clinics prescribe a dose that's really too high for most people. It's kind of funny. I don't know why that is. Some people do need more.
I used before. I didn't use what they recommended.
Yeah, and it's true that sometimes people do need more. My dad did he needed, I think, 200 IU actually, and then his hunger finally went away. But I'm like you, I only need 125 and I'm good, so.
And I was actually too fearful because I knew I hadn't experienced hunger, and I didn't want to be put in that situation where I experienced it and then have to make a choice, and so.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree. So as far as just more generally speaking, what kind of led you to having issues with your weight in the first place, would you say? What led up to that for you?
Well, I think there are two. In my adult life, I've been like, when I say grossly overweight, I mean like at least 30 pounds or more over my, I don't
like
know,
a healthy
weight
weight
I should be. Was once when I was pursuing my master's, late night program. I worked full time and I just kind of ate what I could eat, on the go.
Yeah.
And after I completed that program, I started exercising, implemented exercising, and kind of changed what I ate. And I went back down to like maybe 127 or something. Well, then maybe a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with what was like a precancerous tumor. And so I was very kind of emotional about that. They didn't want me to exercise because they said it could rupture. It just was this kind of in-between stage. So I was just like kind of, eating and doing that.
Sure.
And my husband at the time, who's military, was deployed. So it was just a real stressful time. So I just kind of ate probably out of emotions. It's like, oh, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then once I went in and I had surgery and they did the pathology test, it wasn't cancerous, but they kind of didn't know at the time. So I was relieved that it wasn't, and I had the surgery. And then it took about 6 to 8 weeks for me to recuperate from that. And as soon as that was over, I was like, okay, I have to do something with this weight, because at the time I was probably about 25 or 30 pounds overweight then. And I kind of started looking, and I really actually don't know how. I had heard about HCG probably on Dr. Oz or something and dismissed it, I don't know how many years ago.
Sure.
I think I went on YouTube and was either Googling fat loss or weight loss or something, and then found HCG, and I started going on all these different blogs, and I was like, oh my God. And, I saw your story and HCG, Miss HCG Girls and all these stories, and I thought, oh my God. And then I started doing research, and I said, what do I have to lose?
Yeah.
And the clinic that I went through, they had a YouTube video where they were doing this lecture, I guess, to the medical community and saying why it worked and that, and I called them, and just kind of the ball started rolling.
That's great. That's awesome. And that's true. That's kind of the same thing for me, why I finally felt kind of confident enough to try the protocol out. Was all the real people that I found, online that on YouTube that were really doing that. These people weren't making it up. Sometimes when you go to a site with advertisements and there's a lot of stock photos, and those photos aren't people who lost weight with HCG. They're used on all kinds of sites, and you buy it for $15 and put it on your website. So, that's why like this is so much. It's just much more proof. That it really does. It's really changing lives. So, as far as, your experience now, having done one full round, now you're on your second round, can you give us, like, 3 things that, if you can give advice to anyone else who's starting the protocol or on it, like 3 of the most important things that you found were important to being successful while on the diet?
One thing I think, preparation, having some kind of plan, as far as for me, I'm a military wife. I have kids in high school, so I'm a basketball, tennis, soccer mom.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you're not kind of prepared, and I think I didn't really learn this so much from being on HCG, but the times that I've been successful at losing weight before.
Yeah.
That food component and being prepared, you know, if it's like cooking meals 3 days in advance, or, you know, if dinner is a hectic time for you, have all your dinners prepared, that kind of thing. So being prepared as far as your dinner or your lunch or your food goes.
Yeah, so that was just as crucial during this protocol then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing for me, and I know that there's the controversy about the scale, you know, to weigh or not to weigh.
Yeah.
For me, that's a good tool, because especially when I got into like my P3s and P4s, to know like what foods affected my body, how it's like, I'll hear people that say, oh, I feel lighter today or that. And I mean, some days I feel lighter, but I get on the scale and I'm actually heavier. So using the scale, and for me, I don't have that much emotional connection, because I think you had said somewhere, or some people identify that I'm a data gatherer. It's like, oh, give me as much data as I can get. So I don't view what that number says as, you know, oh, my day is ruined, or oh, my day is well. So, I mean, it was just a tool.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is the knowledge and reading Pounds and Inches for yourself, knowing what it says. I've heard several people that say each time they start around, they go back and they read it and reread it.
That's smart.
And I just kept referring to that throughout that whole round when I had questions about things. I did, since I was working with the clinic, I talked to the doctor, and sometimes I'd say, well, Dr. Simeon says this. Why are you guys saying that? And, you know, and she'd explain some of the modern day things that either we have that he didn't have access to, like they allowed me to eat tuna.
Okay, yeah.
And I said, well, he doesn't say anything about tuna. Why is that? And she said, well, back in the 50s, they didn't have the option of tuna in water like we do today. Back then, it was all in oils. So, and I was like, oh, okay. So, just that. So, just having the knowledge for yourself. And
sure. Okay, good. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for coming on here today. I'll go ahead and, oh, do you want to tell them your, you know, YouTube user in case they want to subscribe? Or
I am Lady Ruck.
Okay, so I'll put the link in the description below for everyone. Okay, well, thanks for coming on with me.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Have a good day. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording now. So thank you guys so much for staying around to watch the interview. Anyway, but I hope you enjoyed it, because I really do want to start interviewing a lot more people. There's a lot more amazing everyday people, if you will. That's why I'm calling it Interviews with Everyday People, because there's just a lot of us normal people out there who have lost weight with HCG and accomplished phenomenal things, but we're just, you know, regular everyday people. And I feel like it's really encouraging to see these types of examples, because, you know, oftentimes people who get interviewed are people who seem like they've accomplished like a huge, amazing thing, and they're like these special people who make $1 million, or, you know, or are a total fitness model or something like that. And sometimes when we see that, I don't know, for me, I feel like it may not be as motivating, almost, in a sense, because it feels like, well, I'm just a normal person, so they're obviously special, and I don't think I could achieve what they've done. But when we talk with everyday people like you and I, who make this change with HCG, I feel like that is encouraging, because it, you know, makes us think, well, you know, if a regular everyday person like that can lose 30 pounds on HCG and keep it off, then, you know, maybe I can too, and you can. So, but stay tuned, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.